Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, and Big Ben. You're even Alex Smith, you're separating. So I think the most interesting, there's 2 or 3 really interesting games, like Falcons at Panthers. Cam lost his best friend in a locker room. Atlanta, by the way, Mohamed Sanu ripped the coaching staff in Atlanta this morning. So I look at all these games. Let me start with this. Rams at Giants. I don't think I've ever seen a turnaround from couldn't get first downs to leading the NFL in scoring. Don't we have to buy the Rams now, Mark?
You have to.
They're off a bye, too?
Let me tell you, Sean McVay, if you just talk to Sean McVay, you're like, sold. I see why you got a job. Like, I'm in. I'm totally in. I did a Rams game, and I was just like, oh, my goodness. Like, the staff, what he talks about, how he preaches the football knowledge, and the fact that he'll be the first guy to say, hey, listen, man, I want to surround myself with smart people. Like, I want Wade Phillips on my staff. I want smart people on my staff. And the thing at any level, your job as a coach is to put your players in positions to have success. And he's done that. You look at Tavon Austin. Here's a guy that they signed.
It's a great point.
Right. They signed him to a $42 million contract, right? Sean McVay comes in and goes, you're not a receiver. You don't run good enough routes. You're a gadget guy. You're going to be a backup running back. There you go.
You're a gadget guy. And by the way, that's exactly how they use it.
Right. And that's what we need you to. What we need now. If you develop as a receiver, we'll start to use you possibly as a receiver. But you're a gadget guy. That's what you're going to play for us. And it's going to be a very pivotal role. It's going to be a defined role. It's going to be a small role, but it's going to be something that's going to help us win football games.
He's also a great decoy. They use him in motion. And by the way, if you don't bite on it, he's a burner.
Well, the thing he does is when they motion him across, you know what it does? It holds it back into a defense. Now, all of a sudden, your running back, Todd Gurley, goes, and he goes, whoop, backside. And it's a big gaping hole because you got to worry about that little speedster with the fake jet sweep, you know?
I think you bring up a good point. He went from a vague role to a defined smaller role.
Right.
Sean McVay looked at his personnel and said, we're going to establish what you are, and we're going to have you own a little tiny space of it.
Right. It's a real estate game, and this is a piece, the spot of real estate that you get to own. The other thing he did is he understood that this game at its core will never change, and that's you've got to block people, and you've got to be able to defeat blockers. And he went out and he got himself Andrew Whitworth. Andrew Whitworth is a full-grown man.
He is a house.
Right? And he is just out there dispensing justice. They also solidified the middle of that offensive line with John Sullivan, who's a pro. He's just an absolute pro. Came from Washington with Sean McVay. So the one part they could never figure out under Jeff Fisher is that offensive line. That's the first thing he addressed in free agency. And guess what? All of a sudden, they're right there in the thick of things.
Chiefs at the Cowboys. I'll tell you something. Andy Reid's clever. I got Kareem Hunt, nice little toy. Tyreek Hill, nice little toy. Travis Kelce, nice little toy. I think Dallas is going to struggle, Mark. How are they going to stop these guys?
Listen, they will struggle if they get into a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs.
They don't have the pop.
The Kansas City Chiefs should have lost to the Denver Broncos on Monday night. Flat out should have lost. You had 3 different running backs average 5+ yards a carry. Jamal Charles averaged 5. C.J. Anderson averaged 5.5. Devontae Booker averaged 6+ a carry. And you kept having your quarterback, who was dirt and balls, falling off of every throw it. Kansas City Chiefs are tough, man. They give you a ton of eye candy. They've got really dynamic players. They have a fatal flaw. Their fatal flaw is they cannot even come close to stopping the run.
So you think Dallas controls the clock?
This is one of those games. Dallas has to control the clock. They've got to basically an average NFL game has about 12 to 13 possessions.
Yep.
If you can take it down to 9 possessions,
the inferior roster can win.
Right. If you can take it down to 9 possessions, and then all of a sudden the Kansas City Chiefs are starting to press, like, hey, we gotta push this ball out here. We got to get it to our playmakers. We got to do this. The next thing you know, you haven't given Hunt the proper amount of touches. You haven't set up all that goofy looking play action, shovel pass, option stuff. And the next thing you know, you're scrambling to run a drop back offense that's not what you do. So that's the key to Dallas. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and say that's what they have to do. Can they get that done? It's another story. Can you be disciplined enough as an offense to say, hey, we're not going to be sexy today. We're not going to be vanity play callers today. We're going to try to punch you right in the teeth.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 games. Just give me a quick winner. Falcons at the Panthers.
I'm going to go with the Panthers. Just too much distraction offensively with the Falcons right now.
Ravens at Titans.
It's a tough one.
Titans off a bye.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go Titans at home. They play really well. Mariota plays really well at home, not so much on the road.
And finally, Raiders at the Dolphins. Do or die time for both teams.
I'm going to go with the Raiders just offensively. I think they have enough.
They have an identity on one side of the ball.
Right, on one side of the ball. Listen, defensively, they are challenged, but nobody's more challenged than Miami's offense. So, I mean, I think those two cancel each other out. I think the offense of the Raiders is just enough.